I am Jasmine, and I'm from BBC Studios. I'm tackling a topic that I'm incredibly passionate about today: how as both organisations and individuals, we can better navigate the polarising, noisy media ecosystem we all exist within to find our purpose. Clarity of purpose requires a level of focus these days that is really hard to come by. And if you're anything like me, perhaps a dark padded room at times. Cutting through that noise and finding the time in which to focus is nigh on impossible. For me, this year, the irony was apt that International Women's Day and World Book Day collided to ensure that I had at least 100 tabs open in my brain at one time, and I'm sure many of you felt the same. So I would love to start with a question, and it's not as poignant as some of the others, but how many of you have been too busy this year to go to the toilet? I told you it wasn't as poignant, but thank you. Me too. I play a game with myself. Just one more meeting, and then I can go to the bathroom. Well, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're not alone. According to data from Microsoft Teams, since February 2020, remote workers have had a 252% increase in time spent in meetings. I think that stat's been used a lot, but every time I see it, I am astounded. So is it any wonder that we may struggle to make the space to listen to our own intuition, to listen to our own gut? Trusting your gut instincts when we live in a world of instant online judgment, a world in which we're all expected to have a very strong opinion all of the time. I don't know are the three most underutilized words in modern leadership. When you represent a trusted brand, that pressure to know how to respond becomes even more acute. Yet, in a polarizing media ecosystem, the most powerful thing we can do is take a breath. That power of pause is an important tool. For the BBC, this consideration is vital. At BBC Studios Social, we specialise in connecting the digital audiences to the best of British entertainment through social-first content. We manage over 90 channels, and these channels have a global reach of 10 billion social video views in 2023. But with that reach comes huge responsibility. The BBC's mission is to act in the public interest, serving all audiences through the provision of impartial, high quality, and distinctive output and services which inform, educate, and entertain. As reliance on commercial income becomes greater, it's even more important that we keep this mission at the heart of everything we do. Being impartial is pursuing truth without agenda, but we also have to recognize that as a challenge and embrace the nuances. As a leader, it's my responsibility to ensure that my colleagues have the space to be considered, creative, and to grow. Given the speed and rate of change within the industry, the danger is that we're all becoming too reactive. When everything is seemingly urgent, nothing is important. So, for the next few minutes, let's pause those noisy voices. Let's open our brain and close those to-do lists and take a moment to reflect. We all have shared challenges, but what is important to me might not be important to you. But I believe there are some really important shared learnings that can help us better navigate this polarizing media ecosystem. There are 4 tools that I believe we can harness collectively to make progress. We need to embrace that challenge, harness their creativity, consistency, and compassion. So, let's talk about embracing challenge. Everyone in this room will have been challenged in the past 12 months, whether it's a reply guy posting about an opinion you shared on LinkedIn, a piece of creative work, or the talent you choose to cast on your shows or in your adverts. The truth is, anyone has the ability to share an opinion about you or the brands and organizations you work for. We must expect to be challenged. But we also have to ensure that we don't let that fear of challenge stifle our creativity. Let's ensure that our teams, our stakeholders, our advertisers, and ourselves are set up for these challenges, because we cannot claim these challenges are unexpected anymore. Prior to BBC Studios, having worked on brands such as Anheuser-Busch, Revlon, Mars, British Airways, I know that whether you're a brand advertising on TV, a character on a TV show, an influencer, you not only have a platform, but you are one. Therefore, everyone has an opinion about you. And the scale of backlash you can be on the receiving end of can be frightening. But buying into the myth of cancel culture isn't helping any of us, creatively, culturally, or as an industry. As organizations and individuals, we must not only have to expect to be challenged, but that we have to be ready to withstand that challenge. Because the opposite of being challenged is creating work that nobody cares about. It's not noticed by anyone, it's bland, it's forgettable. Yet we also have to be honest that not only is this difficult for us to navigate, but it's placing a huge pressure on us, on talent, and on staff. We have all seen the narrative surrounding Bud Light and the hatred aimed at Dylan Mulvaney. And as The Guardian noted, the backlash to Mulvaney's branded post was swift, brutal, and unprecedented. The ensuing decline in beer sales has been well documented. But Bud Light's problem wasn't that it sought to partner with Mulvaney. Bud Light's problem was that it folded. We want brands to stand for something, and not only that, we want brands to stand in front, behind, and beside the talented individuals they collaborate with. In stark contrast, in 2020, you hopefully would have seen a group of leading UK supermarkets join together to take a stand against racist online backlash that followed Sainsbury's Christmas advert featuring a black family. This collaboration was so important for progress, but is it enough? We all have a duty of care to talent and staff, and we need to be honest and open about how we step up to this challenge. How can we be more honest about the challenges we face? In a world where everyone has an opinion, it is all too easy to be swayed by those noisy voices. But the truth is, it has never been more important to learn to listen to yourself, trusting your gut to move towards growth, because we all have doubts in ourselves and in our work. I've made huge moves in my career because I listened to my gut. I believe that as a leader, 30%, roughly, of your decisions should be made on your gut. It doesn't mean that you won't feel uncomfortable or nervous, and nerves are natural, clearly, and we should embrace and harness them. I believe that by doing things that make you nervous, that make you uncomfortable, we can grow as brands and as people. We talk a lot about bravery in this industry, but when it comes to it, no one really wants to admit that failure. Years ago, the Marketing Society launched an award scheme to celebrate the industry's biggest failures, and no one entered. We are still ashamed to fail. We need to be more honest about what that failure means. We need to have a plan for failure. We always plan for success. We never plan for fail. And actually talk as leaders what failure feels like. It knocks your confidence. It makes it harder to pick yourself up and do the next thing. I feel failure really personally. I feel it acutely. It hurts when things go wrong, but you have to trust yourself and listen to yourself. As someone with high-functioning anxiety, I struggle with crippling self-doubt, but have learnt that rather than wearing a mask, being raw and brutally honest is the best tonic. As a mother of two, I talk to my children every day about their fears and worries. But are we making space to talk about those fears and worries in the workplace? Okay. One of the 972 reasons I have such love for Bluey is its ability to influence audiences of all ages. My 7-year-old and 2-year-old are transfixed, and I feel totally seen as a parent. I'm not sure how many of you watch Bluey. You may have children, you may not have children and you watch Bluey. Stickbird is one of my favourite episodes. It's in the recent series 3. And in Stickbird, the family finally make it down to the beach for some fun in the sun. The focus switches to Bandit, who is the father in this dog family, who is clearly distracted by some untold problem. As he plays with his daughter, Bingo, it's clear that he's going through the motions. This daddy-daughter team build a stickbird in the sand, but while searching for more twigs, a group of children unknowingly grab Bingo's branch and run away to play it elsewhere. Bingo's emotions start to mirror Bandit's state of mind, upset and angry over the situation that she was powerless to stop. Bluey shows up, her older sister, and teaches Bingo a trick she learned from her preteen pal, Maya, where you collect all your bad feelings in an invisible ball and throw them away. Bandit gives it a try too, emptying the unpleasantness eating at his soul and rejoining his family in vacation bliss. We never truly find out what the problem was eating at Banded, but it's actually not important. Chances are it was something minor that kept gnawing at him until it grew to a disproportionate size inside his mind. That sounds familiar to me, and it probably sounds familiar to you. So, hopefully this will play.
Some kids ruined a stick bird.
Oh, I can show you a trick my buddy Mia taught me if you like. It's for after you're upset and angry. Okay, so you have to collect all the upset and all the angry. How do I collect upset and angry? You just feel where it is and go get it. There's usually some in your belly or your neck, and always remember to check your ears. Okay. Now you've got all that upset and angry in your hands. What do I do with it? Do you want to keep it? No, I don't want it. Well, what do you do with something you don't want anymore? Give it to you? Well, I don't want it.
Yeah, me neither.
Then what do I do with it? You throw it away. Oh. Like Mum said, you need to throw this thing really far. Stand sideways like on a skateboard. Bend your knees. Yep, get comfy. That's good. And with this arm and... Whoa!
It's going all the way out to sea.
Look for the splash! Look for the splash!
There, did you see it?
Yes! It was a million miles away.
Good throw.
Yeah, good one, Bingo. Thanks.
So how do you feel?
Good. Yay! Thanks, Bluey.
Yeah, thanks, Bluey.
Thank Mia, she taught me it. Oh, and Mum for the throwing bit. Can we have a race to Mum? Yeah. Dad, do you want a race too?
Yeah, okay. I'll give you a head start.
Okay, ready, set, go! Oh! I'm winning!
Here I come!
The answer here is similar to what Chili, Mum to Bluey, and my spirit animal taught us in the show, where Bingo uses the mum's checklist to encourage herself to keep trying after failure. For Bandit, this is his reminder to dust himself off, forget about his problems that are out of his control, and get back to what is in his control, living his life genuinely for himself and his family. So let's talk about what is in our control: consistency. Clayton Christensen is one of the world's leading experts on marketing innovation, and he says something that sounds remarkably simple, but in reality is really difficult to achieve. Decide what you stand for and stand for it all the time. In a polarizing world, we need to live and breathe consistency. BBC Studios connects global digital audiences to safe, smart, high-quality social content every day. And as a trusted brand, it's the storytelling behind these brands and how they show up that really connects with the audience, as you can see from Bluey. Purpose demands staying true to your values. For the BBC, that consistency comes from our values and our impartiality, which is vital to our long-term success as an organisation. Impartiality doesn't mean we don't have a purpose as an organisation, it means we have a consistent framework. In this challenging and polarizing media ecosystem, I believe that consistency and clarity about where advertising appears, the safety of the content ecosystem, and where the advertising and funds come from has never been more vital. Regardless of what platform you're on, a podcast, a TV show, a magazine article, a social post, it is important that your audience and your consumer knows what you stand for. In an increasingly complex system, consistency is everything. Now, I want to be honest with you. Maintaining that consistency won't always be easy. I have been in your shoes, and I understand that many of the marketing leaders in this room will have that fear of backlash. We all have read the headlines on Go Woke and Go Broke, or listened to the previous talk. But the truth is that audiences expect and want you to stand for something. It is also really important to look at the real story behind the headlines, because in many ways, cancel culture is a myth. as you can see from here, the BBC received just 144 messages from disgruntled viewers about the inclusion of Jasmine Finney's transgender character Rose. But the overwhelming tsunami of hate online was deafening. Yet, as you can see on the update on screen, this underlines that we stood by our casting. As regular viewers of Doctor Who will be aware, the show has and always will continue to proudly celebrate diversity and reflect the world we live in. We are always mindful of the content within our episodes. The episode the complaints referred to was watched by more than 7.6 million people, meaning the complaints made up a tiny proportion of viewers. Showrunner Russell T. Davies has spoken eloquently on his ambition to reflect more of society on screen, a drive which continues to connect with audiences, despite what those noisy voices would have you believe. So, I'm consistently told that I care too much. I don't know if you are, but arguably I believe that compassion and passion is the most important tool we have as creative leaders today. Compassion for ourselves and compassion for each other. As organisations and individuals, we need to think harder about how we show up in the social first world. This is so important to me when it comes to creating the conditions in which my team can really thrive. Emerging talent, both on and off screen, need support. And as leaders, we need to be focused on how we can provide both opportunity and safety for our team members when they find themselves in the headwinds of a storm of media polarisation. Brands have a duty of care to audiences and advertisers, and at BBC Studios we have a vast and wide-ranging portfolio of talent and stories worth telling. We believe passionately in providing brand-safe audiences and accessible creative content. We attract audiences from wide demographic groups across all of our social channels, from BBC Earth, Top Gear, Doctor Who, and my favourite, Bluey. We have a huge reach, but within that reach we have a duty of care to ourselves and our colleagues, our audiences, our brand partners, and ourselves as individuals. Remember those 100 tabs open in our brains at any one time? Well, what if we try to close a few of them? What if we try to prioritise giving ourselves the space to really listen to each other and ourselves? What if we prioritise not getting sidetracked by the noisy voices? If we recognise that the myth of cancel culture is holding us back and risks simply fueling more forgettable and bland creative work? The truth is that we can't keep relying on the past as a blueprint to the future, and we've got to do things differently. We know that traditional ways are never going to work now, and the way that audiences and consumers are looking at content, it's evolving, it's diversifying, and brands need to evolve with them. We need to give ourselves the permission and the space to change and evolve. And I believe that creativity, consistency, and compassion doesn't mean that we're going to get it right every single time, but we can create the right framework to challenge ourselves and each other to create work that really matters and really connects with audiences. Thank you.